Now, I couldn't have said it more clearly and better myself.
It was back in 2023 when me, my wife, and a few friends, we formed the Project 600 committee. And we had the March Against Crime in Port of Spain. And the idea was that murders were so out of control. They were approaching 600 murders for the first time. And the plan was to get 600 people carrying 600 flags around the Queen's Park Savannah. You look back on it, it was an interesting time. But I remember, because of how these things go in Trinidad, we were protesting against the PNM. We were protesting against the Rowley government. They just happened to be in power at the time. And all the PNM trolls came out, right? There were all these accusations that our movement was political and that we're doing it because of the UNC and tra-la-la-la-la. As much as you try to tell people that, this is citizens protesting for what they believe is right and for things that are going wrong in the country, there's a noise that happens. And I remember we called out the Prime Minister. We called him out pretty hard. We went after Keith Rogan. There was that pushback, right? And there were those hints and suggestions of veiled threats and what have you. But we did it because we felt it needed to be done. The country was in a difficult state. Things were getting completely out of hand. And we were able to do it. And it was important then for citizens to be able to raise their voices. It's important now, which is why it's disheartening to see the way with which, instead of listening to what is being said, attempts are made to suffocate the conversation as a whole. So, for fear of contempt of court, we can't talk about Kia Sealy, but here's what I can talk about, right? I could talk about in June 2017, a Rio Claro businessman. A Rio Claro businessman was arrested for no apparent reason, taken to jail, ended up spending months in jail where he was repeatedly gang raped before being released, and no charge. They took the matter to court, right? They took the matter to court. High Court Judge Margaret Mohammed ruled that he was falsely imprisoned, awarded him $500,000 in compensation. Repeatedly gang raped in jail. But here's the thing, he went to court, he won his case. What happened to the officers who did that to him? As far as we know, absolutely nothing. Okay, so 2018, right? We're not talking about Kia Sealy. 2018, police officers ran into a house and shot 5 people. They said gun was found at the scene, gunshots, there was an exchange of fire. The thing went to court, you see, and they did all the analysis and all the investigations. It didn't go to criminal court, it went to civil court. High Court Judge Marcia Ayas Caesar, and the ruling was that those officers wrongfully executed those 5 people. They were teenagers, 3 of them, teenagers, executed by the police. All the claims about gunfight and gun recovered on the scene, nothing. $4 million of your taxpayer money were awarded. $4 million awarded. But the officers, well, the PCA made a recommendation way back 6 years ago. The PCA made a recommendation to the DPP to bring murder charges on those officers. But as far as we know up to now, nothing has happened. The officers, nothing has happened. Okay, so October 2022. Brent Thomas, we all remember this one. A whole team from Trinidad went all the way to Barbados, kidnapped a citizen, brought him back here illegally, the documents attained illegally, the warrants attained illegally, nothing was done properly. The judge, let me read this because I have to read what Justice Devendra Rampasad said, that those who were involved on the day have not faced sanctions for their clarity and admittedly unlawful acts as police officers as far as this court has been informed, and that they have been able to continue their duties without investigation, to my mind is a shameful blot on this country. A shameful blot that the officers were allowed to continue their duties without investigation. A shameful blot. And up to now, that investigation, we don't know. Has any action been taken against those officers? No, some of them might have been promoted by now. And there's so many more boat crews where officers, there was a fight and the police officer drew his arm and shoot 2 civilians, and the PCA, again, David West recommended attempted murder charge on the officer. Anything? No. There are, so you go to the PCA website and you could see the list of all the reports. Go to the PCA websites, go to the section where they have their referrals, and you will see all the referrals, all the matters, and what is happening in any of these cases. Over 700 matters being investigated right now. But you'll say, oh, well, the police need to do their job, and this crime is, crime is out of control in this country, and we need a heavy hand. Okay, fine, here what? This is bigger than the police service. What I'm saying to you is that we have a problem in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. This is not just the police service. I remember a well-known social media blogger, and he told a story about when he was a child in school. Listen to this one. When he was a child in school, the teacher who was in charge of giving out school lunches, if you didn't take the lessons class that teacher had after school and pay money for that lessons class, you would not get a lunch in school, primary school. I'm telling you that there are teachers out there who would deny a child food. I'm not saying all the teachers, oh gosh, there's a few. But my point is that these people remain in the system and can't be removed. I have a good friend of mine trying to get an approval done on a building and or a property, and can't get the approval. And you know what the person says to her? He says, well, come and spend a night with me. Come and spend a night with me. Maybe we'll get through your approval. There are health officer tree will walk into a place. I will shut this place down. But, pass a little something and you get through. There is extortion taking place by police officers in this country. And if you don't know about it, you're not out there and you're not talking to people. So just consider one thing. Consider the wife of a police officer who is in an abusive relationship. Consider a woman who is being beaten by her husband who is a police officer. Where does she turn? Which direction does she go? Because from everything I have told you, understand that there is a repeated pattern of behavior. That any time anything threatens any member or agent or apparatus of the state, the whole thing closes down and everybody closes guards and the thing comes down like an iron gate. Nothing will happen to any of these people. And nothing happens to any of these people, licensing officers, customs officers, police officers, you name it. Nothing happens to any of those people. And we here as citizens, we are left facing this brutality with no recourse possible on a daily basis. And when when a young girl dares stand up and talk, when one young girl with nothing but conviction in her blood and a song in her heart, with nothing but a song, they will drag her to jail with her mother's arms clinging around her to protect her daughter? Is this where we have reached, where the police will come out in their full riot gear? And threats would be made for contempt of court proceedings if people just speak about what's on their mind? What are they afraid of? What are they afraid of? They say, oh, why you were running from the police? Why is the police running from a little girl? Ask yourself that question. Trinidad and Tobago, we have problems. And don't bring politics into this. Our problems, we have problems. Our problems are not red problems. Our problems are not yellow problems. Our problems are Trinidad and Tobago problems. These problems are bigger even than the Prime Minister and the opposition leader. Better they stay out of this, because if you don't understand how it works, the Constitution prevents them from having anything to do with these matters. So until they are ready to go to the Parliament and change the laws of Trinidad and Tobago, they have no role to play here. This is not about the politicians. This is about the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago standing up for what's right and looking at what's wrong in our country. And what I'm saying to you is that it falls to us, it falls to the citizens to speak and to raise our voices against the institutions that are maltreating us. Until and unless the problems could be fixed in Parliament, it falls to us to speak. Speak to each other, speak to our friends, speak to our colleagues, and if necessary, go out on the streets. You all have a good day.
I'm sure a lot of you could relate to the stories he's talking about. Many of us have experienced this in our culture. So we as Trinidadians need to take a look at ourselves in the mirror. And as human beings. So just food for thought. And if you are an individual who has a position of authority or is in a job in a position of authority, think of it like this: with great power comes great responsibility.